In the latest episode of Doctor Who, we saw the Doctor travel outside of the screen to meet some Doctor Who fans. It was a very meta scene that saw the Doctor grapple with the possibility that he was just fiction in a TV show. But it's not the first time that Doctor Who has done this. It is not the first time that the idea that the show is a show has been referenced in the narrative, sometimes even with the Doctor finding out, and sometimes where he's completely oblivious. So I've got 4 examples of when Doctor Who got meta and acknowledged itself within the narrative as a TV show, and an honorary mention at the end. So let's start with one where the Doctor doesn't actually find out anything, and it's a very cheeky little reference. And this happened in the 80s. In the TV story Remembrance of the Daleks, which came out in the 1980s, the serial is set in 1963. It is set only a little while after the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan departed Coal Hill School and went off on their adventures. And this is the Sylvester McCoy incarnation of the Doctor along with Ace. At one point, Ace is in a living room and there's a television set on. She leaves the room and the camera pans back to that television set, where we hear the BBC continuity announcer announce a new exciting sci-fi show called and then it cuts away. Now, all we know really there is that there was a sci-fi series on BBC One within the Doctor Who universe called something. Could be Doctor Who, could be something else, who knows, but it's quite a nice little thing. Next, let's go to the world of comics, and a 1999 story within Doctor Who magazine called TV Action. This storyline found the 8th Doctor and companion Izzy get sucked into a parallel universe by a fleeing from the authorities Beep the Meep. Now, due to the timey-wimey nature of the wormhole thing that they slipped into, Beep the Meep got there a month or so before them, and is already enacting his plan to use dark star energy to transmit via BBC Television Centre across the airwaves and take over the planet by controlling the population. But it's alright, Doctor and Izzy are there to stop him, and we'll get some assistance as well from a certain other Doctor, kind of, or Doctor Who actor at least, because Izzy first of all finds the TARDIS set. Remember, we're in 1979, so we're in the Tom Baker era, finds the Tom Baker TARDIS set within Television Centre, and then later on Tom Baker himself shows up and ends up distracting Beep the Meep, because that's the version of the Doctor that the Beep has history with and recognises, and while Tom Baker is distracting the Meep, Izzy is able to foil the plan. I think the 8th Doctor is unconscious on the floor at that point. So we've got Tom Baker, the set, and at the end of the story as well, Izzy hands the 8th Doctor a copy of Doctor Who magazine. Staying with comics now for our next example is The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who, an 11th Doctor era Titan Comics, I think it was, strip one-off issue where the Doctor again gets pulled into a parallel universe. Here he ends up at some kind of Comic Con convention where there are lots of Doctor Who fans, there's people in cosplay. He meets a young fan who is the title character of this, The Girl Who Loved Doctor Who, called Ali. He also comes face to face with himself in a way because he meets Matt Smith, of course, the actor that plays the 11th Doctor. And in conversation with him, he suggests that an actor called Peter Capaldi might be good as a replacement for him for the next Doctor, because he saved him once, and he seemed like a nice guy. Also in this story, there is an actual threat. There is a Cyberman from the Doctor's reality that got pulled through, technically not from the Doctor's reality, from Pete's world, that got pulled through from the void into this world, and they have to defeat him as well. So within those 2 comics, we've already got 2 instances where the Doctor has travelled to a parallel universe where Doctor Who is a TV show. And 1 instance we've got from the 80s TV show where the TV show might even exist within the TV show universe and the prime universe of the show. So, interesting. But then we've got something else which almost made it to screen, but did make it into a Doctor Who target novelisation. And that's the Peter Cushing movies. Yes, the Peter Cushing movies exist as movies within the Doctor Who universe. This was originally planned to be a line of dialogue and the posters being visually displayed within the Black Archives in the episode Day of the Doctor. But due to rights reasons at the time, they had to scrap that little bit. However, they did put it, Stephen Moffat did put it back in the novelisation and referenced it with some kind of line explaining how the Doctor's adventures had somehow filtered through to some movie exec, and they had misinterpreted some of them and made them into what we know of as the Peter Cushing movies. So the Peter Cushing movies exist in the Doctor Who universe. And finally, for our main one, but stick around for the honorary mention, we've got the episode In the Forest of the Night, where for a very brief moment in the background of shot you can see a bus go by with an advert for Doctor Who on it in an episode of Doctor Who. And finally, that honorary mention, Robots of Sherwood, where while the Doctor is flicking through images of Robin Hood to show the Robin Hood that he thinks is fake, he shows one of Patrick Troughton playing Robin Hood. This isn't quite along the same lines as the other one because it's not acknowledging the show, the Doctor Who show itself, but it is acknowledging the existence of a Doctor Who actor as an actor who looks an awful lot like the second Doctor, I guess. Not out of the realms of possibility, but I thought I'd put it in there. And there was a nice little cheeky line to nod The Doctor is Just Fiction by Robin Hood at the end of the episode too.
And remember, Doctor,
I'm just as real as you are.
So there you go. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think of this latest moment of meta-ness in the latest episode of Doctor Who in Lux. In the meantime, why not check out mine and my two children's review of Doctor Who Lux by clicking on screen now.